Children who are having problems with school and teachers in school and colleges are very aware of the mental and physical state of their teachers. So they seem to recognize the importance of well-being and stress management in learning. Mostly teachers are usually very good at thinking about the well-being of their students. We consider ourselves to have a duty of care to our pupils, and we do not usually think about our own well-being until it is too late and we are sick. People who take on caring roles are often not good at looking after themselves. So it's a vital that we manage our own well-being, as we cannot manage students and learning if we cannot manage ourselves. Students coming every day to college and more or less do the same thing, sometimes having slightly better or worse days. What makes a difference is the reaction of the adults around them. And taking time to manage your stress is essential in order to teach effectively and to help students with their stress around learning. So, teachers' feelings are also very important. Take a moment and think about all the feelings you had yesterday, from the time you got up in the morning to the time you went to bed, and what do you notice? Probably a roller coaster of powerful, overwhelming feelings which can change dramatically in a second. So you can be in the depths of despair 1 minute and then elated the next. Why is this? You were probably dealing with students all day who were experiencing widely fluctuating emotions and trying to help everyone. Teaching is about managing relationships in an intense public arena all day. Some emotions will be overwhelming and difficult to manage. They will not be helpful for teaching and learning. So, what are the main triggers for the unhelpful feelings? What were the triggers for those feelings which impeded teaching and learning? Some of the common causes are: we try to be perfect. Teachers tell their students that mistakes are good, we learn from them. And yet, I meet many teachers who strive for perfection in their own work and their own life. They get frustrated when a lesson plan does not work perfectly, when students do not understand enough, and it is good for us to have high standards. But we must remember that the pursuit of perfection is dangerous. It does not model what we know about learning, and that learning takes place when we make mistakes. So we always try harder. Teachers are often very hard workers, always trying to do things better. If our students do not understand, we spend longer planning our lessons. If we cannot finish our to-do list, we stay up longer to get through it. Sometimes we spend a lot of time trying harder in the wrong direction. We find things which bluntly do not work, such as staying up late into the night to plan a lesson, which we are then too tired to reach properly, and then we do more of what does not work. We always want to stay strong. Teachers hate to let people down, which often means we go into work when we are sick. We don't admit we are struggling with the class. We push our personal and family problems to the back of our mind. Again, this can be useful. We need to be reliable. However, when we insist on always being strong, we ignore our needs and the pressures build up inside us. That's why so many teachers get sick in the holidays. We need to know when to stop. So, how about if instead of trying to be perfect, we acknowledge what mistakes can be good? And instead of trying harder, we try something different. Instead of trying to be strong, we decide to be human. So, developing our strategies to manage the stress when we are stressed and tired out, we're not thinking or teaching at our best. We need practical strategies for acknowledging and managing our own well being. Some practical strategies focus on what is in your control. We like to be in control of our day. We spend that time planning to ensure that our classes go smoothly. However, we cannot control everything as schools are full of people and unexpected events. We often get stressed about the things which are outside our control. Take a moment and make a list of those things which are causing our stress. Now divide these things into two lists: things which are within your control at the moment and things which are not in your control at the moment. So decide to focus on the things which are in your control and do something about them. With the other side, we tend to obsess about those things which are outside our control. Firstly, be your own best friend. Positive self talk is vital. What would you say to your best friend if they were having a bad day? Would you tell them they were a useless, outdated teacher who could not hope? So, probably not. And yet, we often say these things to ourselves. Decide to talk to yourself as you would talk to your best friend. Write down six highlights of the day, six main things of the day. Our minds tend to dwell on the negatives of the day. The classes we had problems with, the colleagues who do not agree with us. Decide to train yourself to see the positives. At the end of each day, write down six highlights of the day. A highlight can be quite a small thing. Get into the habit of noticing what is working and do more of that. Offload in a safe way. Supportive friends and colleagues are very important. Sometimes we just need to talk to someone. Be careful that you choose someone who is a good listener and make it clear what you need from this person. If you just want to rant and someone tries to give advice, it can be counterproductive. We are left feeling more stressed. And we all know people who drain our energy, we feel worse after being with them. Also know people who energize and inspire us. We have activities which energize and activities which drain us. We need to more spend time with the people and on the task which energize us and less time with the people and tasks which drain our energy. Teachers are often very bad at saying no. So, to jobs and tasks, it is of course very important to learn to say no. Operative and helpful, but if you are always overloaded, think about how this is contributing to your stress. If you are taking on too much, learn to say no politely, of course. And finally, we are remember an inspiring positive teacher, and we all are remember those teachers who were stressed and not enjoying their teaching. Keep yourself motivated if you want to keep your students motivated. So it's very important that how can stress plays a very common thing in every teachers and in every student. Stress cannot describe anything, but stress is a major part of these days. So how can you handle with stress? Two individuals behave differently during stress. Suppose we do any work and two individuals are behave different way. Hence, Survey 1956 summarized stress reactivity as a three-phase process termed the general adaptation syndrome. Adopting the right attitude can convert a negative stress into a positive one. So, accordingly, general adaptation syndrome, there are three stages: alarm stage, resistance stage, and exhaustion stage. Firstly, we talk about the alarm stage. The stressor upsets homeostasis or cellular balance. In a resistance stage, body fights back up, adjusting to the stress. And in an exhaustion stage, rest permits enhanced adaptation. So, stage of resistance, normal resistance, alarm response, and stage of exhaustion. Accordingly, these things that several researchers have added to the work of Cannon, Self, Siemens, and others to shed more light on the relationship of stress to body responses. And if we talk about the time management refers to managing time effectively so that the right time is allocated to the right activity. Time management is the act of taking conscious control over the amount of time spent of specific activities. You exercise time management to increase productivity, effectiveness, and efficiency. You practice skills and use tools and techniques to aid you when accomplishing tasks, projects, or working toward goals and deadlines. Why do we need time management? To save time, to reduce stress, to increase our work output, to have more control over our job or responsibilities. Obstacles to effective time management. Firstly, unclear objectives. When your objective is not clear, then it's obvious that your work is not done. Disorganization. You no organize your things and inability to say no. As I earlier say that it's a common thing that you also say to name. Too many things at once. Stress and fatigue, all work and no play. So it's a very common thing. The time management process cost your time making activity logs, goal setting, planning, prioritizing, and scheduling. Efficiency of your work, to-do list, focus on your work, proactive approach, prioritize your work, organize your things, and delegation is also an important part. If you talk about the costing your time, understand the true value by calculating your cost per year. Cost per year is equal to money plus effort plus space plus equipment plus profit you generate. So it's very common phenomena. Making activity logs, make a realistic estimate of time spent during day on activities, pinpoint the critical areas, and finding the high yielding time of your day. First thing, we talk about the planning. Draw an action plan and list of things that need to be done to achieve your goals. Goal setting. What is a goal setting? Setting lifetime goals and have to chart your life course and your career path and break up your lifetime goal in smaller goals. Make a daily to-do list, revise and update your list on daily basis and judge your performance. So prioritizing make a to-do list. Consider the value of the task before today. Is it worth spending your time and resources? Prioritize your task. The most important jobs should be completed first, followed by other jobs. And next one is the scheduling. Make a realistic estimate of how much you can do. Plan to make the best use of the available time and reserve some contingency time to deal with unexpected jobs. Minimize stress by avoiding commitment by yourself and others. In a scheduling yourself, you don't find time for important things to make it. And everything do is an opportunity cost. Learn to say no, gentle no. I will do it if nobody else steps forward, or I will be your deep fallback. But you have to keep searching. If you talk about the time management matrix, that there are mainly two things: urgent things and not urgent things. Urgent and important, and not urgent yet important. Urgent and important: class studies and related assignments, communication skill development, yoga, wellness, sports, discipline living, the day's newspaper reading. And if you talk about the not urgent yet important, career skill development, personality development, future planning, career higher education, book reading, knowledge acquisition, and relationship management and network development. And if you talk about the urgent yet not important, just like a routine SMS, routine mobile conversation, abrupt outing needs, and not important and not urgent, mad about cricket, movies, gossip, casual time spent first day, first show, premature relationships, TV serials, anything that disturbs your activities in other quadrants. So it's very basic thing that what is important and what is not important. If we talk about the procrastination is the thief of time. According to Edward Young Night Thoughts, 1742, we spend many times to, Relook at stress, stressor, stress reactivity, and strain stressor. A stressor is a stimulus with the potential of triggering the fight or flight response. Stresses can be biological and environmental, toxins, heat, cold, and psychological, threat to self esteem, depression, sociological, philosophical. One of the most severe stressors is guilt associated with behaving in a way contrary to one's moral framework, acts lying, cheating, etc. Sources of stress, external source and internal source. External source, sociological stressors and some environmental stressors. Internal source, psychological and philosophical stressors. A primary source of stress is the presence of major life events and daily hazards in an individual life. So it's very difficult to how to stress reactivity and strain. Stress reactivity, the fight or flight response to the stressor. Increased muscle tension, increased heart rate, stroke, volume, and output, elevated blood pressure, less saliva in the mouth causing dryness of mouth, increased serum glucose, changes in brain waves, increased urination, all are the stress reactions. So the role of stressor, stress reactivity and strain. Strain outcome of stress, reactivity, long-term stressor, physical tension, headaches, backaches resulting from excessive muscle tension, and psychological fear of being in crowd resulting from contemplating the experience, behavioral alcohol abuse and getting into fights, daily hazards, increasing stress reactivity leading to strain. So there are some techniques of stress management and how to cope with stress. Laughing and autogenic training and autogenic training session are sit in the meditative posture and scan the body. My right arm is heavy, my arms and legs are heavy and warm. Repeat 3 or more times. My right arm is heavy, my arms and legs are heavy and warm. My right arm is heavy, my arms and legs are heavy and warm. My heartbeat is calm and regular. Repeat 3 times. My heartbeat is calm and regular. My heartbeat is calm and regular. My forehead is cool. My neck and shoulders are heavy. Repeat 3 times. My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. My forehead is cool. I am at peace. Repeat 3 times. I am at peace. I am at peace. I am at peace. So repeat it 3 times. You feel that you are stress free and getting a hobby, just like a meditation and so many things that you stress. Deep breathing. Deep breathing is also a very common phase of stress. Yog Nidra. Yog Nidra is a very common stress buster, and there are many some relaxation techniques. Relaxation techniques for stress. There are many relaxation techniques of stress, just like a fractional relaxation and be kind to your mind. How to cope with stress during many during COVID-19 pandemic? Pause, breathe, notice how you feel. Take breaks from sometimes and make time to sleep and exercise. Reach out and stay connected. Seek help. Call the helpline. Suppose you are very busy in another activities and you think that you don't have anything and you don't have any work, then how can you motivate yourself? You don't have anything to do. So positive self-talk is vital. And what would you say to your best friend if they are having a bad day? Would you tell them they are a useless, outdated teacher who couldn't cope? And probably there are many things that how can you handle? It's very common phenomena that you don't have to lot of things, but you don't have to time. So how can you handle stress? There are so many studies nowadays. Small medium uh, enterprises are struggling to become market leaders in their respective fields and try to maintain their growth. And there are many organizations, there are many employees with job stress found themselves in a pressured work environment. So previous thinks that there are a pressure by the management leads the employees to job stress. Many researchers studied job stress, job satisfaction, and many things. If we talk about the survey, defined stress as an individual's material and emotional reaction into potential threatening aspects of the environment. The job stress is defined as the situation of an individual due to job issues, force an individual to alter, modify, or revolutionize his or her mental and emotional state in such a manner that the individual deviates from normal working behavior to the worst. Nowadays, everyone is struggling to fulfill their dreams within limited resources. The entrepreneurs are facing many difficulties due to a lack of resources, an increasing competition, and continuous change in the internal and external environment. The situation pushes the organization to perform more, whereas firms demand more work and more work from their employees, which creates job stress on employee affecting job satisfaction in an organization. There are benefits and salary with job satisfaction. Gender discrimination based on benefits and salary is highly affected on job satisfaction, although the research showed that female employees work equivalent to the male employee, but in return, the female is unable to receive such benefits as compared to the male employee. However, there is no difference in job satisfaction levels. Explored the approach of salary benefits, which is based on different fundamentals: basic pay, variable pay, recognition, and stocks. Benefits including healthcare, retirement plan, saving and off time benefits, training and developing opportunities, career development, performance management, success in planning, training, and work environment, which includes intangibles. This things relationship between reward system and job satisfaction. So, effective commitment and innovative work behavior, benefits and salary have a positive, significant impact on employees' job satisfaction. Work environment and job satisfaction are placed with better psychological and physical environments prospects to work life brings loyalty with the work, organization, and quality of performance. The study on many in USA explored the job satisfaction with the work environment in the era of 2005 to 2017. So there is a lot of things. The leadership effect on job satisfaction. In many studies, that leadership was used and analyzed as moderator, their work behavior in other studies, and we used as a moderator in between intra-group conflicts and teamwork. The researcher explored the moderation effect of leadership with strategic human resource practices in job satisfaction. The leadership plays the role of moderator with management control and business of moderator with management control and business excellence. So, mediation effect. There is a leadership effect on employee job satisfaction. The job stress reduction with supervisory support, role clarity, co-worker integration, and agency formalization imply in an organization. Moreover, there are two things that its effect our mental health, and its also affects our daily routines. The teachers of every sector have much issue which affects job satisfaction, and telecom sector and many other sectors in India and also in other countries, that role of job stress, benefits, and salary and work environment on employee job satisfaction. The developing countries focus on employees job satisfaction, and the role of leadership is very crucial for satisfaction. There are so many studies explored the moderating effect of leadership on employees' job satisfaction. The study contained 8 hypotheses, which proves that relation of job stress with employees' job satisfaction is always negative. Moderation and mediation plays a positive effect on work environment, employees' job satisfaction. The hypothesis proposed that the work environment has a positive significance on job stress with 0.20 coefficient value. So, uh, there are so many studies that moderating interaction effect of participating leadership on work environment and job satisfaction as proved in hypothesis. So, moreover, to increase the and decrease the stress, it stress or distress. So it's depend on you that how can you handle with stress, how can you deal with stress. So there are a focus of the that includes stress definition, where is factors cause teacher stress and the effect of stress for the teacher. After understanding all about stress and indication, it is hoped that teacher will be able to identify and diagnose it. The way how to anticipate and cope with the stress is discussed. Uh, them they seem to recognize the importance of well-being and stress management in learning to way. Schools and teachers are usually very good at thinking about the well-being of their students. We consider ourselves to have a duty of care to our students. We do not usually think about our own well-being until it is too late and we are sick. People who take on caring roles are often not good at looking after themselves. It is vital that we manage our own well being, as we cannot manage students and learning if we cannot manage ourselves. Children come in every day, and students come in every day to school or colleges, and more or less do the same thing, sometimes having slightly better or worse days. What makes a difference is the reaction of the adults around them. So, taking time to manage your stress is essential in order to teach effectively and to help students with their stress around learning. Teachers' feelings are important. Take a moment and think about all the feelings you had yesterday, from the time you got up in the morning to the time you went to bed. What do you notice? Probably a roller coaster of powerful, overwhelming feelings which can change dramatically in a second. You can be in the depths of despair 1 minute and then elated the next. Why is this? You are probably dealing with students all day who are experiencing wildly fluctuating emotions and trying to help everyone. Teaching is about managing relationships in an intense public arena all day. Some emotions will be overwhelming and difficult to manage. They will not be helpful for teaching and learning. What are the triggers for the unhelpful feelings? And what were the triggers for those feelings which impacted teaching and learning? Some of the common causes are try to be perfect. Teachers tell their students that mistakes are good. We learn from them, and yet I meet many teachers who strive for perfection in their own work and their own life. They get frustrated when a lesson plan does not work perfectly, when students do not understand enough. So it is good for us to high standards, but we must remember that the pursuit of perfection is dangerous. It does not model what we know about learning, that learning takes place when we make mistakes. We always want to try harder. Teachers are often very hard workers, always trying to do things better. If our students do not understand, we spend longer planning our lessons. If we cannot finish our to do list, we stay up longer to get through it. So sometimes we spend a lot of time trying harder in the wrong direction. We find things which bluntly do not work, such as staying up late into the night to plan a lesson, which we are then too tired to teach properly, and then we do more of what does not work. We always want to stay strong. Teachers hate to let people down, which often means go into work when we are sick. We don't admit we are struggling with the class. We push our personal and family problems to the back of our mind. Again, this can be useful. We need to be reliable. However, when we insist on always being strong, we ignore our needs and the pressures build up inside us. That's why so many teachers get sick on the holidays. We need to know when to stop. And so, how about it? Instead of trying to be perfect, we acknowledge that mistakes can be good. Instead of trying harder, we try something different. Instead of trying to be strong, we decide to be human. So, developing our strategies to manage the stress. When we are stressed and tired out, we are not thinking or teaching at our best. We need practical strategies for acknowledging and managing our own well being. Some practical strategies focus on what is in your control. We like to be in control of our day. We spend a lot of time planning to ensure that our classes go smoothly. However, we cannot control everything as schools or colleges are full of people and unexpected events. We often get stressed about the things which are outside our control. Take a moment and make a list of those things which are causing your stress. Now divide these things into two lists: things which are within your control at the moment and things which are not in your control at the moment. Decide to focus on the things which are in your control and do something about them. Put the others aside. We tend to obsess about things which are outside your control. Be your own best friend, and positive self talk is vital. What would you say to your best friend if they were having a bad day? Would you tell them they were a useless, outdated teacher who couldn't cope? Probably not. And yet, we often say these things to ourselves. Decide to talk to yourself as you would talk to your best friend. Write down 6 highlights of the day. Our minds tend to dwell on the negatives of the day. The classes we had problems with the colleagues who do not agree with us. Decide to train yourself to see the positives. At the end of each day, write down 6 highlights of the day. A highlight can be quite a small thing. Get into the habit of noticing what is working and do more of that. Offload in a safe way. Supportive friends and colleagues are very important. Sometimes we just need to talk to someone. Be careful that you choose someone who is a good listener and make it clear that you need from this person. If you just want to rant and someone tries to give advice, it can be counterproductive. We are left feeling more stressed. Notice energizers and drainers. We all know people who drain our energy. We feel worse after being with them. We also know people who energize and inspire us. We have activities which energize and activities which drain us. We need to more spend time with the people and on the task which energize us, and less time with the people and tasks which drain our energy. One most important thing: learn to say no. Teachers are often very bad at saying no to jobs and tasks. It is, of course, very important to be cooperative and helpful. But if you are always overloaded, think about how this is contributing to your stress. If you're talking on too much, learn to say no, politely, of course. And finally, we all remember an inspiring, positive teacher, and we all remember those teachers who are stressed and not enjoying their teaching. Keep yourselves motivated if you want to keep your students motivated. It's not the thing that is just can be described as a positive stress or negative stress. It's a point at how to cope with stress. And if you cope with stress, then you also energize yourself. It's very important that how can you calm yourself. Mm. How to calm and how to relook at the stress. Stressors is a stimulus with the potential of triggering the fight or flight response. Biological, environment, psychological, sociological, philosophical, and one of the most severe stressors is guilt, associated with behaving in a way contrary to one's moral framework, lying, cheating, etc. And it's a way that how can you handle the stress. Sometimes teachers and students arguments, students not to come classes on time, and their behavior is also not good. Then what can we do? and how to handle when they not are prepared for the classes and not ready to take the classes, that how can we handle, and it's very tough. So this scenario, if we talk about the students and teachers, the students are also very smart. They do smart work, specific, measurable, attainable, etc. So time management and stress management both are very important. Both are very important thing, that how can we do all things. Suppose you have a work and you have also another important work. So how can you handle? How can you handle the stress and how can deal with the stress? Several researchers have added to the work of Cannon, Salve, Siemens, and others to shed more light on the relationship of stress to body processes. So, relook at address the stressor, stress reactivity, and strain. Stressor is a stimulus with the potential of triggering the fight or flight response, and so many things as sources of stress, external sources and internal source. Sociological stressors and some environmental stressors, internal source, psychological and philosophical resources, stressors. So it depends upon the students and teachers, that how can they take things. If we take things positively, we do positive work, and if we think things negatively, we do obviously in a negative thing. What is the main target and main goal of of your work? It's not thing that you do your work and that's it. It's not sufficient. So many researchers thinks that it's very common phenomena, that these times, that how can we deal with stress and how can we handle with the stress, how can teachers handle with stress, just like during COVID time, many students and teachers face stress. Stress reactivity, increased muscle tension, increased heart rate, stroke, volume, and output. Elevated blood pressure, less saliva in the mouth causing dryness of mouth, increased serum glucose, changes in brain waves, increased urination. So, techniques of stress management. We do to list. To do list, it's very helpful, and laughter is also the very coping stress. You cope with the stress, and autogenic training. There are some trainings that just like I just sit in the meditative posture, scan the body, and meditate yourself, walk, watching movie, watching things that you like most, and there's so many things that you deal with and control the stress. It's not the way that how can you deal and how can you mm, supposed to do the, that how can it's a way that how can we deal with stress, how can you take the stress, it's positively or negatively, it's upon you. In this time, every student and every teacher face this thing. In fact, after COVID, students and teachers in a very different stage. They all are done their work and they think that it's our job and it's our work. But how can they feel free to the stress? Sometimes they are in a good things, but sometimes they don't feel that they. So it's the way that how can we deal with the stress and teachers also. But stress is a state of physical and emotional tension. It is defined by feelings of irritability, loss of control, anxiousness, and anger. Stress is our body's response to a challenge and is often triggered by outside events such as when we sense a danger or a challenge. While stress is mostly regarded as a negative phenomena, short bursts of stress are helpful in helping us respond to dangers or a challenge we might consider ourselves incapable of handling. It is a long, high intense, and frequent occurrence of stress, which is a problem. However, stress is a common phenomenon observed in undergraduate students. Among undergrads, stress is often triggered by a feeling of loss of control after transmitting to a new world of challenge. Students are also faced with academic pressure that can lead to stress. College is also often the first time undergrads are given the responsibility to handle their finances, and a poor management of personal finances among undergrads can lead to financial pressure and therefore stress. Many times, stress among undergraduate students are associated with their age, resulting from peer pressure, relationship issues, and adolescence irritability. Stress and stress management among undergrads have been well documented and studied with empirical evidence. So, these things that academic study on the subject at the same time it contributes uniquely to the academic body of research on stress among students in several ways. First of all, studies causes of stress and stress coping capabilities among science and arts undergrads across several colleges in many cities. So this is the study contributes by adding evidence from a unique geography that has never been studied before. Secondly, the study makes several comparative studies. It studies causes and prevalence of stress between arts and science students, rural versus urban students, male versus female students, across different age groups and seniority, etc. 400 and many responses in summary that students enrolled in a different courses and different things. So this time it's very common that how can they face and how can they handle the stress. It's very common phenomena that how can they face this. There are many environmental factors, personality factors, and there is a stress or stress balance. On one side of balance is what we see as the demands around us. In the other pan is what we see as our ability to cope or deal with those demands. When we feel able to handle our demands, then C will balance D. So this does not mean, however, that the scales are necessarily perfectly horizontal because we are dealing with a psychological phenomena. We do not know, excuse me, how much of C is needed to be in a total balance with D. We do not necessarily have to have equal weights in each pan in order to be in balance. Rather, the scales should be seen as fluctuating up and down to some degree through a zone of balance, which we will refer to as the normal zones. So the normal zone can be regarded as our everyday living zone or normal situation zone in which we are dealing with familiar and routine daily changes in our environment. There will be times when small changes in D and C will occur perhaps as a result of inevitable daily hazards and not feeling too well and daily root changes in our environment, distress and stress. Distress as a pressure mounts, we must determine how willingness to handle it. If it turns out, then I cannot deal with the tension and the burden. And stress when a perception of what we are capable of confronting outweighs our expectations, we get an increase in stress. This is preferable. However, since there is a significant disparity of power between us and our opponents, by analogy, if stress and stress are an equal weight, then they can be seen as two wings of the same bird. Expanding the scenario triggers um, a sensation of having more authority and trust, presenting the possibility of tackling things with ease and having a certain amount of power as well as imposing some obstacles and making demands. The level of stress provided is just enough to give a person their mental and physical facilities unnecessary level of attention, and also to foster a state of productivity. So, one of the sources of rise in excitement, situations, and imagination is to face greater challenges and work harder. All was about to go bad. A drop in work performance, annoyance, discord, tension, restlessness from fatigue to unenjoyable pressures, pain, failure due to incomplete digestion, and disharmonious relationships. And anxiety, heart attack, cancer, and depression are unfortunately two of the most common causes of ulcerative diseases. Commit suicide. There are many factors: environmental factors, personality factors, cognitive factors, sociocultural factors which impacts our stress, life events, and daily hassles. It's very common that how can mental symptoms of stress, upset and anxious, finding it difficult to focus or remember, restlessness, sleep disorder or eating disorder. So physical symptoms of stress, so there are uh, symptom one symptom that's the dry mouth, and another is pounding heart or difficulty in difficulty in breathing, stomach upset, frequent urination, sweating palms, and tight muscles causing pain and trembling, and long-term effects of stress and functions of stress. A person's physiological reaction to stress is to keep the individual healthy and ready to deal with other potentially dangerous situations, assessed potential danger or exposed. We call them in order to take off. The fight or flight approach principle. As it is, when you encounter a danger, you must either run away or confront it, or you will die. In the event of an emergency, the sympathetic nervous system release. So, getting the individual ready for an upcoming event. In the event of major damage, the pulse and blood circulation is increased to provide the muscles with more oxygen and glucose and to promote healing. Whereas something upsets or scares or frustrates or angers, a part of the brain shoots stress hormones into the body. These hormones warm and prepare the body to face danger, and the mind gets this extra energy to be highly motivated. So there are many factors that affect the stress, and it's depend on that how can we cope with stress. So that's all from my side. If you have any question, then please ask me. If you have any doubt, any query, please ask me.